Theory by Jason Delgado and William Calero. Part 1. Discovery. Chapter 1. An Invitation. Jake Castillo jolted awake, gasping, his heart pounding in his chest. He was drenched in sweat, the vivid images of the nightmare still fresh in his mind. He could almost hear his brother Edwin's voice echoing in his ears, the fear and urgency unmistakable. Jake sat up slowly, running a hand over his face. He was 37 now, and the years had left their mark. Lines etched into his skin, his eyes weary from sleepless nights. He often never made it to his bed, instead falling asleep in front of the stove's fire. He wore a fatigue jacket over his jeans, his boots still on, as he sat in his wooden cabin. The room was rustic and bare bones, the kind of place that offered little comfort but plenty of solitude. The wind outside rustled the trees, and the occasional drip of morning dew slipped from the leaves, tapping softly against the window. The forest around the cabin was still dark, the early morning light just beginning to filter through the gaps in the curtains. Jake took a deep breath, trying to shake off the remnants of the dream. It wasn't the first time he'd dreamt of his brother, but each time it felt more real, more urgent. He rose from his chair and stepped out of the cabin. The cool morning air greeted him as he walked onto the front porch, taking in a deep breath of the wilderness. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a soft glow over the thick brush that surrounded him. There was nothing here but the sounds of nature, a true refuge away from the chaos of the world. Jake zipped up his jacket, his backpack strapped tightly, and his rifle slung around his shoulder. He walked over to an electric ATV parked near an array of solar panels that lay beside the cabin. Perhaps this place wasn't as bare bones as it seemed. Moving quickly and silently through the woods on his ATV, the hum of the electric motor barely audible as he coasted around his perimeter. The fencing, the digital cameras mounted on the trees, the tripwires, and the heat sensors all blended seamlessly into the forest. Jake checked each component methodically, his gaze moving from the miniature turrets to the surveillance feed on his handheld monitor. His route brought him to a small clearing where a few deer grazed. He dismounted, grabbing a sack of feed from the back of his ATV, and spread it for the animals, watching as they approached. He took his time, his movements careful, almost reverent. From there he moved to the garden near the cabin, a carefully tended plot bursting with colors of vegetables and flowers, framed by a rustic wooden fence that kept the wilderness at bay. He knelt by the zucchini plants first, his fingers brushing the broad emerald leaves. They were smooth and vibrant, with no signs of holes or discoloration. A good sign. Moving methodically, he inspected the tomato vines, lifting each cluster to check for blemishes. The green and ripened tomatoes hung heavy, their skin glossy in the morning sun. He noticed a hint of curling on a few of the leaves and gently pinched them off. He paused at the carrots, brushing away soil to expose their firm orange tops. Among the leafy greens he spotted a caterpillar beneath a kale leaf and flicked it into the compost pile with a practiced motion. His eyes scanned the plants for anything out of the ordinary. A wilted stem, a yellowing leaf, a stray weed. Everything had to flourish. The stakes were too high to let the garden fail. His Navy training had taught him the importance of precision and vigilance, where life and death hung in the balance. The garden was no different. It required the same level of care and attention to detail. He was meticulous, protective, and thoughtful in all his actions. This was his world now, a sanctuary he had crafted with his own hands. He did not want it to be disturbed. The day slipped into dusk, and Jake found himself in the small kitchen of his cabin. The pot of stew on the single-burner stove simmered gently, filling the space with a comforting aroma. He ate in silence, his eyes drifting to the photographs spread across the table. He picked up a picture of him and Edwin when they were younger, grinning in their Navy uniforms. Edwin's arm thrown around his shoulder. There were other photos. Edwin in his expedition gear waving at the camera, and snapshots of Jake's Navy buddies, his Special Forces unit, and his family. His mom, dad, Edwin, all of them together, smiling. He lingered on that one. The past seemed so far away now, yet it was the only thing that felt real. The door to the family home swung open and Jake Castillo stepped inside, his navy blues crisp, his face still boyish but hardened by training. The warmth of home wrapped around him like a blanket. For a moment, the weight of the world vanished. His mom and dad were there, their faces lighting up. And then there was Edwin, clean-shaven, grinning like he was ready to give Jake a hard time. And the memory was so vivid, Jake could almost smell his mom's perfume and hear the faint hum of the old record player in the corner. Edwin was an E6, petty officer first class in the Navy, and always gave his younger brother Jake a hard time for his aspirations to join the SEALs team, always telling him he wasn't tough enough or strong enough. It fueled Jake and occasionally got on his nerves. "Looking good, Papi," Edwin said, sneaking up behind Jake and locking him in a bear hug. "Think you can take me now?" Jake squirmed, laughing. "I don't want to, bro." Edwin tightened his grip, teasing. "Oh yeah? Why's that? Scared to find out the truth?" Jake asserted, still struggling. "What truth?" "That I'm superior," Edwin declared, hoisting Jake off the ground like a sack of potatoes. The room erupted in laughter. Jake had the strong, stocky frame, but Edwin's height and lankiness always got the best of him. "Why are you always doing this?" Jake shot back, frustrated, half jealous, as Edwin sat him down with a triumphant grin. Their parents watched, beaming, the room alive with the kind of joy that only comes when everyone you love is safe and together. It was perfect. A snapshot of happiness frozen in time. But then the laughter twisted, warping into something else. The warmth faded, replaced by the cold, piercing wail of a siren. Jake's heart tightened as the memory shattered, dragging him back to the present. The blaring of an alarm filled the cabin. Jake shot upright, his heart pounding, snapping him back to the present. He sprang into action, pushing a hidden button on the side of a dresser, revealing a narrow door leading to the basement. He rushed down the stairs, his feet barely touching the steps. The basement was a stark contrast to the rest of the cabin, filled with monitors and high-tech surveillance equipment. Jake slid into the seat at the console, quickly turning off the alarm and scanning the screens. "North perimeter discharged," he muttered to himself. "Wasn't a bird. Heat sensor would have triggered. What did you shoot down, little guy?" Jake typed a few commands, bringing up the camera feed. He manipulated the joystick, moving the view until he saw it. A drone lying on the forest floor. An envelope, clutched in its mechanical claw, sealed with a glinted golden emblem. His eyes narrowed. A surge of adrenaline rushed through him. He grabbed his gear and headed back upstairs, his mind focused, the remnants of the dream forgotten. The ATV tore through the forest, weaving between trees and bounding over rocks. Jake's eyes scanned the terrain, his senses heightened as he approached the northern perimeter. He parked on a high vantage point, his rifle in hand as he scanned the area below. The forest was still, but Jake didn't let his guard down. He pulled out a rifle with a square barrel, its design sleek and futuristic. Taking aim, he fired a black disc that shot through the air, sticking to the drone's side. The signal blocker emitted a faint buzz, ensuring no transmissions would be sent. "You ain't talking to nobody," Jake muttered, satisfied. Jake approached the fallen drone cautiously, using a stick to poke at it before leaning down to retrieve the envelope. He glanced around, ensuring he was alone, before breaking the seal and unfolding the letter. The note was brief, cryptic. "I have information about your brother Edwin. Meet me at 1. You tell me. 11S 385 255 3768431. Jake's expression hardened. Suspicion mingled with curiosity. How the hell did you find me? Back at the cabin, the drone lay dismantled on a workbench in Jake's basement. Across the room, pinned to a corkboard, was the letter. Jake stood between the two, his mind racing as he searched for answers. He looked at the note. His face was fixed in deep focus. Meet me at 1. You tell me. Damn it. He sat down at the terminal, typing the numbers into the search bar. No matches. He tried phone numbers, numerology charts, even associated each number with a letter, but nothing fit. Frustrated, he pulled up a map, staring at the screen. It's too long for longitude and latitude. You tell me. His gaze fell on the 3 capital letters, U-T-M. Realization dawned, and he quickly adjusted the format, pulling up the Universal Transverse Mercator Map, a flat grid of the world. The coordinates aligned with a location in Los Angeles, California, Wilshire Boulevard. What the hell? Jake muttered, leaning closer to the screen. He turned back to the letter, focusing on the words. Meet me at 1. Jake ran another search, this time for 1 Wilshire Boulevard. The results came up with images of a nondescript rectangular building. But the description caught his eye. The largest, most densely interconnected data center in the world. The biggest data center in the world, Jake mused, glancing at the drone laid on the table. And you came all this way just to say hello? He smiled, a mix of intrigue and frustration tightening in his chest. He looked back at the screen, the address burning into his mind. All right, he said, now convinced. I'll bite. Thank you for listening, and buy your copy of Theory today, available on Amazon. Copyright 2025, Jason Delgado, William Calero, all rights reserved.